Good morning, love. I had to learn you never come alone. And when I shut out hurting, something in me turns to stone. To be in touch with tenderness, I bear my blood and bone. And I'm so glad to have you back again. Good morning, pain. Good morning, joy. Good morning, love. Who's ready to do some work? All kinds of people. So let's start over on my left and we'll work around. You got one? Come on up here.
I'm going to need your help.
No, you got 40 giraffe supporters out there. But there's 3 jackals hidden in the crowd, so watch that you don't. Okay. What is this person? Did you start with what this person says? That's a challenging thing to hear.
Yeah.
What did this person say?
This person said, this has nothing to do with me. Speak to your father. And this is my father's partner, not my mother.
This has nothing to do with me. Speak to your father.
Yeah, this is a woman I'd like to non-violently kill.
Well, now, if you know that, would somebody else like to do this role play? If you know already that you have that kind of anger toward a person, then we wouldn't even approach them until you first had gotten rid of all enemy images of the person. See? The kind of thinking, in other words, that makes you angry. Well, you still have that. You will create in that person the very thing that you're concerned about.
I think that's true. And so should I pick a different person, or should I work on that?
No, this is the perfect person
Okay.
to work on.
Okay.
Because our most ugly, aggravating jackal is our best guru. So we stand more to benefit, more to learn from those people whose beauty we cannot see than anybody else. They're our best teachers. So let's go to work, first of all, on anger. Let's see how to deal with anger. And we'll give everybody a chance to practice this, okay? So all of you, think of somebody at the moment who's behaving in a way that stimulates you in the way that she is stimulated by this person. You have nice aggressive fantasies toward that. You see. And for those of you who have never been angry, you can't even imagine getting that angry. So that you can participate in this exercise, I'm going to give you the telephone number of my brother. Call him up, and within 5 minutes, you will be angry. Okay? Anybody need his number? I tease him about this all the time. I said, you know, you're famous all over the world. So if you get some strange calls, you'll know that people are wanting to get angry. Okay. Write the stimulus for your anger down. What did this person say or do that was a stimulus for your anger? And while they're writing that down, what is this person's stimulus? What has this person done that was a stimulus for your anger? No, we're going to start with you. What was this person's stimulus?
I haven't been allowed to see my father.
Yes, that's a diagnosis. I asked for a stimulus. That's the cause of your anger, that you interpret it that way. That she's not allowing you to see your father, and that's not right, and she has no right to keep you from him, and so forth. We're going to get to that next. That's the cause of your anger. What's the stimulus? What did she say?
She said, she pretty much said what I said. She said, this has nothing to do with me, speak to your father.
Okay. And that's the
She won't let me talk to her about it.
No, won't let me, that's a diagnosis. So she has said, this has nothing to do with me, talk to your father. That's the stimulus, you see. So let's hear some other stimuli for the anger. What else have you written down?
You need to be criticized.
The person said, you need to be criticized. That's
I'm
what
leaving and it's your fault.
I'm leaving and it's your fault. Yes. You never, da 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 da. And if you're a jackal, you'll remember one time 12 years ago you did. Just to prove that never is not accurate.
You always.
Same thing. But they said that, you always. Okay.
You're always angry.
You're always angry.
You're not listening.
You're not listening. Yes.
Talk when I'm trying to talk.
They talk when you're trying to talk. All of the things that you just said the other person can say can't make us angry. It just doesn't have the power to do that. Okay. So now I want you to write down the cause of the anger this way. When the person does this, I feel angry because. What is the cause of your anger? And let's have you answer the same thing. When this person says, this has nothing to do with me, you have to speak to your father. When this person says this, you feel angry because why?
I feel powerless, and I feel cut off from my father.
Not feel cut off. First, it's not your feeling of powerless that makes you angry. That's a separate feeling. You also feel powerless, you feel angry. But you interpret this person as cutting you off. So you have a violent image of this person. All the person said is, this has nothing to do with me. But you interpreted this as this person is cutting you off from your father. And that's what makes you angry. It's not this person. Yeah, I'm just doing my work. Yeah, so.
You want to know more?
No, that
Okay.
answered my question. I just want you to be conscious that this person isn't making you angry. It's that thought that makes you angry, that they are cutting you off from your father. Because I will bet you that that is associated in your thinking with the violent word, the violent SH word. I hate to say it out loud. They shouldn't cut you off from you. Don't you? Do you believe that they shouldn't do that to you?
Absolutely.
Oh. See, it's the SH word that makes us angry. See, if we didn't have the SH word in our consciousness, we wouldn't have so much violence. But the SH word, that's why I don't like to say it out loud, see, because I think it creates great violence on our planet, the SH word. Because it's basically, in a sense, it's a handy abbreviation. Because the SH word basically means the other person is bad and deserving of punishment. See, it's all contained in that SH word. It's just an abbreviation since we use it so much and we have so much violence that we want to blame and so it's kind of an abbreviation. We don't even have to say it, it's implicit, you see. It goes with, it's cutting me off from the family. And anybody will tell you, you shouldn't do that to a daughter. You shouldn't cut a daughter off from the father. Yes, what makes you angry when people talk when you're talking? What's the cause of your anger?
But they should give me a fair chance.
Yes, you have a double jackal in there. First of all, you're interpreting them as not being fair, not giving you a fair chance. And the double jackal is, they shouldn't do that.
The reason I raised my hand a second ago, if somebody says to you, you should do da da da, if you want to empathize with them, do you ask them, do you think I should?
No, I don't. Remember what I said? Never hear what a jackal thinks, especially never hear the should word. Don't hear it. Don't go there. Life isn't fun when we join the person in their thinking. Go to their heart. There's no should in the heart. Of all the things never to hear coming from another person, it's you should. Especially someone in authority. I hope everybody in here has already got your children convinced of that. You tell your children, never hear what I say you should do. You've all told your children that, I'm sure you have. Yeah. Yes.
If I say that I need equality in financial support for our son, doesn't that imply a should?
No,
No?
no.
Maybe it's what I want to.
I think what you're saying is it's hard for you not to have that should in there because you have all kinds of thoughts about this rascal, such as what? What do you think about me for not giving you that support? In addition, that I should. What do you think about me that makes you so angry?
You're irresponsible.
Yes, yes,
You're selfish.
yes. She doesn't need help at this level. She was doing quite all right without your help.
We're buying the land and he should be
What else? Anything else?
Shirking his duties.
Shirking his duties.
Neglecting his son.
Neglecting his son. And he's still alive? You haven't killed him yet with all of that going on inside? Man, you have good anger control. I've beaten people for less. Okay? Yeah, any one of those words, you see. But, you know, the problem is you pay for those words. Every time you think that, you pay for it. If you want to read what I say, read about type A thinking and the effect that it has on heart disease. Type A thinking is, in the technical research in medicine, basically what I call jackal thinking. You know, irresponsible, shirking, this kind of thinking that makes us angry. High correlation. The more people think this way, the more the more heart disease. Because it's not only destructive to our spirit, it's also very destructive to our bodies. Because these are not natural feelings, you see. I'll show you what I mean by natural feelings. See, as in Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, when a need isn't getting met, it gives off energy, which we call feelings. The feelings tell us the need isn't getting met. They mobilize us for action, to get something done. So this wonderful energy gets channeled into need-serving action. See? So a dog gets hungry, and it doesn't just sit there and say, oh, wonderful, I'm hungry, you know. It starts to act for the purpose of getting some food. Any living phenomenon, this happens. The need, when it's not being met, needs an energy source, which is the feelings. But we human beings have had this trick played on us that I told you about earlier today. So the need isn't getting met, but we don't have a need consciousness. We've been educated not to be in touch with our needs, so we go to enemy images. He should. He's irresponsible. That's selfish. Shirking duties. We've had our head filled with thousands of these, you see. And when our head was filled this way, we are going to fill one of four feelings: depression, guilt, and shame, if we direct the judgment to ourselves. If I think I was irresponsible, I feel guilt, shame. If I think I'm a failure, depression. See? But if we direct it outward, anger. But notice what's happened. We're cut off from life. We're not really alive. We're not in touch with life. And then, what kind of energy does this give us? Punitive actions, not need-serving actions. We want to blame and punish this rascal. Yeah, there's a need down there and it isn't getting met, but we've lost connection with that. When we're up in our head judging the other person, all we want is to see that person suffer. Especially if we have the other dangerous word in our head along with the SH word, you see. So much of our violence comes from the SH word and the DE word. Deserve, yes. I see. Deserve. All you got to do is think somebody deserves something, and oh, you're violent. See? Think that because somebody does something, they deserve to be rewarded. Think that because somebody does something, they deserve to suffer. They deserve to be punished. Very dangerous word. And put those two together. He's doing what he shouldn't. He deserves to. Okay, yes.
How does that fit with rewards?
Rewards are violent.
Violence?
Oh, yes.
Because they make a person feel obligated?
Because they are a part of power over. They're one person trying to use the power that they have over another person. See, so I have some money and you don't have. So I say, okay, if you do this, I'll give you the money. You need to eat. I say, I'm not going to give, unless you do this, I'm not going to give it to you. So that's a way of using power over people. If you want to see the violence of rewards, go into that a little bit more. Read Alfie Kohn's book. Alfie Kohn. Punished by Rewards. If you want to see how violent the DE word is, the deserve word, you see. Read Walter Kaufmann. Without Guilt and Justice. He's a philosophy professor, was a philosophy professor at Princeton. First half of the book, he just says from a philosophical point of view, just in terms of pure logic, pure rational, clear thinking, the DE word, deserve, violates every principle of clear thinking. To think that anybody deserves anything, he shows in the first half of his book, violates every principle of clear thinking. Then in the last half of the book, he shows then that it's no secret that our judicial system, our correctional system, is suicidal. Because it's based on a totally irrational concept that people deserve to suffer for what they've done. So even though our own judicial system, our own statistics show that people are more violent when they get out of our prisons than when they go in, we never learn about this. It's hard to see that anytime you use punishment, it never works. Not if you're conscious at two levels. If you ask yourself two questions, you will see that punishment cannot work. Question number one, what do we want the other person to do? If you ask only that question, it tricks you into thinking that punishment sometimes works. Because sometimes through the use of punishment, you can get somebody to do something. But ask the second question and you see it never works. Second question, what do we want the other person's reasons to be for doing what we want them to do? Ask those two questions, no more punishment. Same with reward. Yeah.
How about setting boundaries for children?
Let's set boundaries. It's very important, but not for children, for any human being. Any human being who is violating a need of yours and is unwilling to negotiate about it, tell them what you are going to do and do it. Use protective use of force. But do that with everybody. Don't think that's just with children. We all need clarity. If a basic need of yours isn't getting met in your relationship with me and I'm not willing to talk about it, tell me what you're going to do to protect yourself and do it. But don't use any punishment. Don't get that mixed up with punishment. No, children do not need punishment. And children do not need boundaries. All human beings need boundaries in the way that I'm describing it.
What about a privilege that is given within that boundary?
What do you mean by a privilege?
Um,
A reward?
The use of a vehicle
Yes.
when following certain boundaries that I have.
So you have a car, and if anybody's going to use your car, you would like them to agree to drive it without drinking any alcohol.
Or using drugs.
Boy, you're a hard mother to live with. Okay, then I would say that at the next time I see you using any drugs while you're driving, I will no longer give you my car. I'm not
So
trying.
that's not punishment.
It depends. If you think they're wrong and you want to make that rascal suffer, yes. If you have in your thinking that they were wrong and you're trying to punish him, but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like you would like to protect some property of yours, and
Well, mostly him.
or to protect him. You see, or to protect him. So if that's your only intention, you're not intending to make him suffer, I would say it's a protective use of force, not the punitive. The other person may see it as punitive. That's another issue. If persons only know punishment, of course they're gonna have trouble making this differentiation. The main thing is that we see the difference. That we make sure we never take any action that's intending to make another person suffer. Whenever that's our intention, we're going to create more violence on this planet, which is not what we need on this planet. Yes?
Is it the same general concept for rewards? When a person gets paid, you get paid for a book. Like, I mean,
I hope I don't.
is that
I hope I don't. I hope you don't give me that money as a payment. I hope you give it to me to nurture what I am doing. I hope you see that money as a gift. I hope you don't see it as payment. I wish we had the time to go through that every time somebody gets a book. The only thing is it usually takes me an hour to make this clear to people, so I don't know how I can get that hour with everybody who wants to. I don't want anybody to buy my book. I want them to have it. I wouldn't have written it if I didn't want them to have it. I hope people would realize that for me to have time to write things like books and to do the other work that I do, it would help me to give me some money. So I hope you didn't pay money for the book. I hope you gave me money for the book. How will you know the difference? You will have enjoyed it if you gave me the money. If you didn't, you won't enjoy giving it. So that's why I never tried to give money if it's a payment. I try only to give money when it's a gift. Yes?
How about grades?
How about grades? The only purpose I see in grades is to maintain a caste system in our society and to hide it as a meritocracy or a democracy. Now, when I was at the university, I had a little trouble with this with the registrar. I still remember the 6-week mark when I was teaching at a university in St. Louis. Registrar comes to my office. Dr. Rosenberg, your grades have not been handed in. I said, you're very perceptive. Registrar did not like my humor. She repeats herself. Your grades have not been handed in. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Why? I'm choosing not to give grades. But you have to. Bureaucratic language, you have to. Isn't this foolish? She's telling me I have to. I haven't done it. Obviously, I don't have to, right? Can you hear anything crazier than that? A person telling me so. You have to. I said, I'm choosing not to give grades. Why? It's against my spiritual beliefs. Why? I said, half the students at this university are black, half are white. Blacks get 80% of failing grades. I choose not to participate in any evaluation scheme that differentiates on the basis of race or culture. Also, research shows that the more grades are given, the more students lose perspective on the worth of what they're learning. So then they learn not for the value of what they're learning, but for the extrinsic rewards, which of course is what is the purpose in a jackal culture. You want people to get used to working for extrinsic rewards, things like salaries, so they'll be able to pollute the environment or do anything else as long as their boss tells them to do it. And they get their reward, so that's what you want to train them for in schools. This one, I said, the one area that they said, but we have to have accountability. I said, now that, I share the university's desire at that level. We do need to know whether people have learned what, the course involves. I said, I will give you at the end of the course of instruction a measurable assessment of what students could do at the end that they couldn't do at the beginning. In this respect, I'm far more accountable than a teacher who gives you a C or a D. You don't know what that student can do. You will know what each of my students can do at the end that they couldn't do at the beginning. So because of that, I was being more accountable, so they didn't fire me for that. They fired me because they didn't like my friends. I was working with street gangs at the time, and this was a college. We were preparing teachers to work in the inner city. I had some members of the gang come into my class and educate the students. The students evaluated this session, incidentally, as very valuable, that they really learned a lot about why kids in the inner city weren't learning. But the university had a rule that said that these people weren't qualified to be brought in as guest lecturers. So it was on that basis that... that was not a problem. I wasn't expecting to stay around very long. The administrator that got me in there asked me to come in and kick ass a little and stir things up, and so...
And then no.
Well, he knew I wasn't going to last long, and I didn't really want to teach long. I just wanted to get some things started. Okay, so now anybody else want to read off what the cause of your anger is? I hope everybody sees that the cause of our anger is always the same. It's that we are playing a game called punitive God. See, that's the cause of anger. See, when we go up to our head and judge the other person as irresponsible, selfish, stupid, this is a game that's been played for several centuries, you see, where somebody thinks they know what's right, and they know what's wrong, and that they know who deserves to suffer. So I call that game punitive God. So we are playing the game punitive God when we are angry. Yes?
It seems like there's kind of a toggle switch between anger and hurt. And that when someone says to me, you need to be criticized, I feel angry and it feels like there's a toggle switch between anger and hurt. So if someone says you need to be criticized, I feel hurt and I feel angry. It's not just one feeling, and
Yes.
I'm curious what you'd say about that.
Because if for any moment you get connected to the need, then you feel hurt. But then if the next moment you then go back up to the jackal judgment and start to judge the other person. So that means your attention is split. Part of you is connected to your need, and the hurt is because you have a need for more respect or something like that. That might be the need, it's at the bottom of it. But the anger tells you that your full attention is not on the need.
So you can never be feeling anger and still be needing, if you're feeling anger, you would say your thinking is always divorced from needing respect?
There's always a part of your consciousness that is not on the need. It is up in your head playing the game punitive God. When our full attention is on our needs, it's impossible to be angry. No matter what the person is doing to you, you cannot be angry if your full attention is on either your need or the other person's need. Yes?
I do support groups with cancer patients and their families, and sometimes they tell me that anger at the cancer helps mobilize their resources for fighting it.
I hear the same thing about almost every country I work in which people are afraid that if they don't get angry, they're going to be passive and not deal with the oppression they're dealing with. So the problem is, yes, we do, if we have a need for health, we need to mobilize ourselves and have our full energy going into mobilizing that. But I think we'll have more energy if we get connected to what our need is and not have part of it distracted, because I think the energy that comes from anger is not really a fully life-serving energy. But if you compare it to nothing, see, this is what people are afraid of. If I don't get angry, I'm just going to be passive. But if your full attention is here, you'll have plenty of energy, but it won't be angry. But I think it'll be more healthy.